Vous écoutez Éducation c'est richesse, le podcast à ne pas rater.
From the get-go, did you know that you were gonna be elected, or how was the process? Did you believe all along?
That is a beautiful question, and the story is probably going to be mind blowing, but I have to give the answer because I made a promise I would say this story everywhere I go. Initially, I had tried to become a judge through a political appointment process because there's two ways to become a judge. Sometimes, if you have a vacancy, like someone dies or maybe someone resigns, you can actually be appointed through a committee, and then that committee goes before the governor. But the many times that I had done this, I was very unsuccessful. For whatever reason, my name would never get too far. And so a lot of people kept thinking, oh, well, the guy is talented. He has a lot of legal experience, a lot of education, but he cannot convince anyone to push his name forward. And so one particular day, I struggled with this because I kept saying, God, what do you want me to do? Where do you want my life to go? And God spoke back to me. And I know that sounds like a crazy thing to say, but he did. And he told me that, yes, I want you to be a judge, but I don't want you to be a judge this way. I want people to see who you are because you are a gift of many talents to everyone whose life you touch or come across. And so therefore, the reason you're not getting it is because I want you to run by election. And so I said, okay, God, but I'm not a politician. I'm terrible. I'm a very quiet guy, very reserved. I don't really go out and make friends with a lot of folks. I keep to myself. I like working behind the scenes. God said, I'm going to need you to do something different. I'm going to need you to change that. I can't have you be that anymore. You're going to need to go out there. You're going to need to be not afraid, and you're going to need to talk to everyone you meet without fear and share your experience with them and make them see the person you are that I know you are. Because together, you and I and the world can do wonderful things, but the people have to see you up front and close and personal. And when you win, you have to tell everyone it was me. And I said, okay, God, you have a promise. And then I went into the first election, as I told you before, in August.
Mm-hmm.
And as I indicated, there were three guys running. It was myself. It was a very, very young Caucasian male. And also another gentleman who's older than me, who's actually Venezuelan. Very nice guy. And we split the votes. But the really, really young Caucasian male, he was doing the best. He had a lot of money. His father was an attorney of 50 years himself, even though he himself, I think, was only an attorney of about 9 years at that point. And so he was crushing me and the Venezuelan candidate. I was way behind. Even the newspaper kept saying, yeah, it looks like it's going to be this guy. Clermont can't do anything. He looks already beaten. So I went back to God. I said, God, I did what you told me. You told me to run. I took my money. I paid the filing fee. I went out there. I started campaigning with people. And he said, well, let me ask you a question. Did you lose? And so I looked at the rules. And according to the rules, for the other younger white Caucasian male to win, he needed 50% plus one vote. So I looked at the votes. He didn't have that. I think he had maybe either 46 or 47%. And so I said, that means it's going to be a runoff. And so God said, so did you lose? Mm-hmm. I said, I did not, but everyone thinks I can't do it because my votes were so low. Mm-hmm. He said, it's not over, though. I told you, keep running. If I make you a promise, I will keep my promise. Mm-hmm. So I kept running, and I worked harder. I took every penny I had, everything that I owned, whatever I needed to throw it into this race because God told me, don't hold back. Go all out. I will reward you. You will have your justice. And so I went, and I just went everywhere I went. I went to people I never saw before. I went to churches, never been to church a day in my life, had nobody with me. Just walked in there alone. And they all welcomed me with open arms. And they sat and they prayed with me. They held my hand. And they said, we are with you. We are behind you. I went to public events. I met different politicians. And they got to know me, and they said, "You seem like a good guy. I want to help you." And before you know it, everywhere I went, I was able to win over the support everywhere I went. It wasn't always great, though. And I'll tell you this, because I know the story is long, but I need to make sure it's clear. There are organizations that endorse people, and there might have been, say, 20 or so organizations that endorse people. And for a time, I couldn't get a single endorsement. The only time I started to get endorsed was through the help of, I believe it was Mike Gellin, who was the former mayor of Tamarack. I received some support and endorsement from him. Then Ronald Surin, as I told you earlier, with the Haitian American Democratic Club, he supported me. And also Save Action PAC was another organization that endorsed me. These was it. That was just these three, four little organizations. Every other organization overwhelmingly went for the young Caucasian male. And so everywhere I went, some of them even slammed doors in my face, said, "I don't need to speak to you. You're nobody. You don't make a difference." And that hurt me because I'm a human being like everyone else, right? But God said, "You have me. Don't worry about them." So I kept moving forward. And so on election day, and this is going to be the end of my story because I know it's a lot of stuff, but on election day, when they started counting the votes, all my friends and family were sitting there watching, refreshing their screens on the computer, watching TV, anything they could get, news, whatever. And they said, "Where are you, Woody?" And I said, "I'm watching a movie." And they said, "Wait, what? What? Wait. You're running a campaign and you're what? You're doing watching a movie?" I said, "Yeah, I'm watching a movie." They said, "But you're supposed to be glued to the election." I said, "God already told me I won. So what am I watching for? Call me when it's over and I get my victory announced." They said, "You're crazy. You're insane. I don't understand that." And I said, "Well, then watch what God does." And so sure enough, my daughter was the biggest fan. She was kept refreshing the screen every 5 minutes, every 5 minutes. She called me towards the end when it was about 95%. And she said, "Dad, you were never behind the entire night. You were up 5,000. You were up 10,000. You were up 20,000. You were up 30,000. You were up 50,000. You were up 55,000 until finally we reached around 59,000 and change, close to 60,000. And then the election was over."
Wow.
And she said, "You crushed him." And I said, "Well, there's God." And that's my
That's
story.
it.